City, Arsenal, Brighton.
What's up, people? Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Cup Chasers podcast. It's week 4 in the Premier League. The Champions League draw has just been completed, and we are here for all of it. But before we get started, go ahead and hit the likes, subscribe to the channel, and get the notification bell on. All right, the Arsenal are hosting Manchester United in the biggest game of the weekend at the Emirates Stadium. And I got to say, I'm a little nervous about this one, guys. It's we got a good draw in the Champions League today, so I'll take that. Sevilla, Lens, and PSV, so that's exciting. But now we look ahead, and I don't know. I think it all depends because, again, it's always going to come back to mentality for me until we show that we have the mentality to beat somebody 7-0. So that's a big thing for me, but it's going to come down to what Arteta decides to do in this one. Is he going to stick with his new formation with Thomas Partey at right back, or is he going to go back to what we know and play there in the middle with Rice, Partey, and Odegaard? If he does that and drops Havertz, drops Eddie for Havertz, I don't know. I just can't get past the fact that I think Arteta is going to shoehorn Havertz into the team some way, somehow, and I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work. Now, if we play last year's formation and, Havertz is one of the three, say it's Rice, Havertz, and Odegaard, and we do have a back four that doesn't include Thomas Partey, I'll be okay. I think I'll be all right with that, I'll live with it. I'll be able to live with it. But I really just think Havertz needs to hit the bench for this one. Because if they target the space that's left behind Partey, when he inverts, just like what happened for that first goal in the first minute against Fulham, if we concede in the first minute again, I can't. I'll be so upset. And
wouldn't blame you one bit.
United's looking to counter, and they'll be. If I was them, I'd be telling Rashford, get in behind him, because if they try that business on Sunday, there's gonna be acres of space back there for Marcus Rashford, and they're looking a little shaky as well. So I'm hopeful that maybe Rashford will be down the center. If Arteta decides to be stubborn and stick with, his formation. So that, because I'm not far less afraid of Sancho and Antony than I am of, say, if Martial is down the middle. Because I don't think Højlund is back. I don't think he's ready yet. Patrick, I know you know about back injuries and ailments and how long and touch and go those things can be.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
So that's what's going on with Højlund. I've heard is it's a back thing. So who knows? It sounds like to me he's not going to want to do that. So do we think it's Martial? Do we think it's Rashford? Hopefully, for Arsenal's sake, it's Rashford down the middle. because I think that'll be easier to deal with. I just have a bad feeling that he's going to stick with the formation. Yeah, it's early season and he's trying to give it time. And if he, and I mean, I trust Arteta. I do. But questions have to be asked because of the pressure that's on and the expectations. So I'm praying that we get kind of a keep it simple, stupid, back to normal, back to basics kind of thing. I think that Zinni, even though he's not the greatest defensively, can match up well with Antony. He's got the speed to get back on him. And Antony's just going to spin in circles anyway. So I think that Zinni's actually probably not going to be too worried about it because we're going to have a lot of the ball. And I hope he's fit because if he's not completely fit, then it's definitely Tamayasu at left back, Partey at right back, and this odd formation we got going is what will happen. But, it's an old school derby, history FC derby, battle of the two teams that haven't done anything in forever, but the used tos, that's where we're at these days, the used tos, unfortunately. But it'll still be, at least to us, it's a huge rivalry, huge game. And for Arsenal, I think it's already like a must win. If we're going to challenge for the league, these Big Six games at home, man, you just got to have them. You absolutely 100% have to have them. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good game. And, I've heard some talk that we could smash them. I'm hearing from a couple of different people a couple of different things on the internet and YouTube that there's a chance that, I mean, if United, play like some of the things they've been showing this season, there's that possibility. But the problem is with that when's the last time Arsenal have smashed anyone? That's not how we go about games. Don't count the Wolves game doesn't count at the end of last season because it didn't mean anything.
True.
We beat Forest 5-0 last season at the beginning of last season. But other than that, this team doesn't run over teams. We don't smash teams. As much as I wish we would, and as much as I think that's how the league is won.
Yep.
So until, like I said at the beginning, until they do that, until they come out and say, "Oh, it's Luton Town, let's put 8 past them," I don't see them doing that to anybody, especially not Manchester United. And the way we leak goals at home, I don't know, man. I went with a 3-1. We'll go ahead and hop into my prediction because I went with a 3-1. Like I said, I think we're going to give a goal. But I think that even if we play this formation where it's Thomas Partey at right back, there were flashes. We just need Havertz to put a shift in.
You're asking for too much.
If you're gonna, I know. We've seen 3 years of lollygagging. I'll say this. I was thinking about it today, Patrick. In 3 seasons, and last season, I watched more Chelsea games than I ever have last season. I watched most of them, and I watched the full 90 on most of your games last season.
Right.
I can think of one game where I was impressed with Havertz's work rate. Dortmund at the Bridge.
I was about to say Dortmund at home.
Dortmund at the Bridge. It's the only game all season where I was like, oh, he's actually worked. He's actually put in a shift. That's all we need. Just that's what people who are like, give Havertz time. That's if he would just put in a shift. If he would just work for the shirt, the intensity of the Arsenal fan base's derision would plummet. It would be, we would still be saying, oh, you're not really, tactically helping out the team. But if you were working your butt off, Conor Gallagher style, we would be less, kind of angry with the start that Havertz has made in an Arsenal shirt. So I still think Arsenal can win 3-1. We've got goals. We just gotta those mistakes, man. If we can lock down the mistakes, I think we'll be just fine. What are you saying, guys?
Well, I was going to first tell you, I just read from the Evening Standard that you won't have to face Baran, but you may see Hoyland. The way it was worded last Friday, he was at Ten Hag was asked about him. He said not for tomorrow. He said he's near today for the first time. He came into team training, so next week we expect him to do a full week of training. So he's near to the squad. So I think you might see him. I don't think it really matters though. I mean, he's going to be rusty for sure. I agree with you that you got to pull this one out, just because I don't want to say they're a direct rival, but they are in a way. So this is the games that, while they won't determine the league, I mean, unless City just runs away with it, then I mean it's not going to determine anything. But these are the games that you got to get your results from, especially at home. Leagues are usually determined by how you perform against the bottom of the table more so than the top, or at least from my experience. So I do expect Arsenal to win this one. I'm a little bit worried about where the goals are really going to come from. I think Saka gets one because Luke Shaw's out. So they're kind of trying to figure out what to do.
Reguilon might be slot straight in. The Spurs man. They signed Reguilon today, the guy from Spurs. He might slot right in. Either that or Dalot.
Yeah, I think it'll be Dalot.
Saka should fancy it either way.
Yeah, I think that's going to be where y'all have a major advantage. Wan-Bissaka, he's good on his side. He may give Martinelli a little bit of trouble. What's going to be fun to really see is this midfield, though. You got whatever you want to say about Bruno. He scores. You've got Casemiro.
It'll be Eriksen.
And Eriksen, yeah,
that's
exactly.
Who it'll be.
So I mean that's a pretty formidable.
Same as last year, though. It's the same as both games last season.
Yeah, but you've got Rice now, and you may slot in with Havertz, so they kind of cancel each other out in a little bit of a way. But that's
just frustrate Bruno. If we get Bruno screaming at everybody and falling down and mad at the ref, if we can get Bruno frustrated and keep him out of the game, we'll be just fine defensively.
I agree. I hate saying that you're going to ship a goal because
we will.
It seems that you will.
Oh no, we will.
I'm going to go actually 2-1 Arsenal.
2-1.
I just think I need to see it from Arsenal. I need to see, okay, this is what we're rounding into. And I know it's early, but these are the games where you really need to start seeing some improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And, if I don't see it, then I start to question, all right, where's Arsenal really going to go this season? And I mean, it's not detrimental to the season, but it's more so the growth within, a short period of time of starting the season. So, but yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal. I think Saka gets one. I'm going to give Saliba one on a header in the box.
Saliba's scored twice in his entire Arsenal career. I like it.
I know.
Not going to back the New England man. Eddie Nketiah gets the call up to England.
It's possible. You might get Maguire.
I would love that. Please. Please. I figured it'd be Lindelof,
At
but
that
I
point,
would
I would pick like 4-1 for y'all.
I would love it if Harry Maguire comes in. I mean, he just got the call up himself. Big time England man. Listen up, Ten Hag. Maguire needs some minutes. Maguire needs some minutes so that he can be good for the Euros next summer. Get him into this one. Get him into. He's a big leader on the field. He's still got it. He's still got it.
Another captain on the field.
Hey, if Maguire plays, I know exactly who's getting our third goal.
Who?
Maguire.
Yeah, I agree with
He's
that.
one of their best goal scorers.
Yeah, but I think y'all win. It'll be a good day at the Emirates, but
I hope you're right. Eddie has to start.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I was arguing last week for the last few weeks for Trossard, but he blew his opportunity. But the funny thing is we may not see him again for a while, but yet we'll still keep seeing Havertz.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one for sure. I think it has to do with Mikel Arteta's maybe digging in a little bit on this thing. But at what point, Lewis, does the fact that Jesus isn't exactly a lethal bags man, and if Eddie keeps scoring, at what point does he catch him up? You know what I'm saying? Because Jesus' injury record was the same at City, right? He was injured a lot, right?
Well, I think one of the things is, I'll give you my prediction first. I think it's Arsenal 3-2.
All right.
And because I think there's a penalty in there, and I think Bruno he creates big chances. Whether you like his personality or not, he does create opportunities for players. So they and I think Rashford. I think similarly to what you said about Arteta, I think he's stubborn enough where he's going to leave Partey on the right, and Rashford is going to enjoy that. And so it'll be at least one there. I think they'll make a change once Rashford does it, because if you give Rashford a chance to get going, and clearly he gets going into the national team, it's just probably a bad game to experiment, but or to be stubborn with your experiment. I think this is also a big game for Ramsdale as well, but I'll come back to him in a second because your question was about Jesus. I mean, I've been sort of consistent with the fact that, I mean, I think Jesus is a great player. I think he's better on the wing than your primary goal scorer. He can probably get you 15 this season, but I mean, if you're looking for clutch time goals or just consistency of a striker, unfortunately, he probably is a different profile, because even in Brazil, he would move out wide and then he would end up wide because somebody else would play in the middle. I think that Nketiah should start. If he does, that is what it is. I'm gonna disagree with a little bit with the Trossard thing. I think Arteta will see Trossard as a super sub more so than anything else, because that's what he's been. So I think that's what he thinks his profile is. In my opinion, to match the United midfield that will have probably Casemiro and Eriksen and Bruno, I think Arsenal will match them with Rice and Odegaard and the other dude.
It's gonna be Havertz, man. I
don't think he's gonna start Havertz.
I hope not.
I don't think he will.
In that case, it's Partey. Like, it has to be Partey, Rice, Odegaard if Havertz isn't starting, because it's not like Vieira or Smith Rowe.
See, that's where I think it's an opportunity to kind of mix it up a little. I think announcing the national teams, like they always do, will get some of these guys a little more juiced up to start and play better. So I think that's going to play a role. And I don't think Havertz will start. I think Havertz will start on the bench. Now, I mentioned Ramsdale earlier because I think this is a big one for him. Because if they do indeed give two, I think when they come back from the international break, Raya starts. And so I think Arteta will probably try to keep the consistency, not to affect his keeper's confidence. But I think if there are two goals, if the scoreline is 3-2. I think that you see a different goalkeeper after the break, and I mean, I think that the issue with that is I think both teams are going to be playing with the excitement of being back in Champions League, the excitement of their groups, because I mean, both got fairly decent groups, so I think they're going to show up.
United will struggle.
Well, no, and here's why I'm gonna disagree with it. I'm gonna disagree with it because I think it's United is that kind of prestige, you give us attention kind of team, and they feed off of that. And I think recognizing that, people are like, hey, there's an expectation for them, because I mean, if we're being honest, there's not anybody outside of their camp doesn't have a real expectation of United, right? I mean, they figured they'll finish top four, but no one really thinks they're good. But now that they're in a Champions League group, and that's what matters to them. That's what matters. And they're back in the Champions League, and they got a fairly easy group. I think that's going to get them buzzing a little bit. And I think because they travel, so they'll have fans there, and I think that will play a role in the energy of it. But I still think Arsenal just on paper and in play is better than them. But I mean, it depends on what kind of officiating we get too. Because I'm not saying that you're going to get the Old Trafford treatment, but United officials travel.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
you
but
have
Ten
to,
Hag, Ten Hag's teams
don't have to travel for this one because they all live in London anyways.
Ten Hag's teams don't travel well to Big Six though. To the top clubs. Their record away from home versus City and Arsenal and even Chelsea. They didn't beat y'all last season either.
It
was
is
a
at
nil-
home.
It was a 0-0 at the
United, but I don't
Bridge.
think they beat us at the
Yeah,
Bridge.
away they were. I mean, do I have to mention Seven Hog? So like away from home, United have been awful. So we need that killer mentality.
well,
If they,
I think shows a lack of stability in their defense if they can't play well on the road because that's where you win games on the road is your defense.
if they bring some lackluster, kind of not all with it, we have to smash them. We just have to there's no other thing. We need to stand up and be like, look, we were just playing around at the beginning of the season here, right before the break. We're gonna make a big statement. And
that's another thing to kind of keep in mind. You want to finish this 4-game piece before you go on is it 2 weeks or 1 week? It's 2 weeks, right?
It's 2 weeks. Like we're just gonna skip a weekend.
Okay.
They'll play two international matches. Like it'll be like a Thursday and then the next Tuesday.
Okay, so just 1 weekend.
And then
but I mean, you want to be kind of riding high. Having the home field advantage. United they don't have injuries like Chelsea by any means, but I understand the injuries issue very well.
Well, Varane is a big miss.
Yeah, that's a big one. It would have been fun to see Havertz versus Mount, just to see which one was going to be worse.
The sabotage squared.
Oh yeah, you get Georgie in there, and then you're cute.
Oh man, you're trying to have a Chelsea game at the Emirates.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I don't see a way that United win this unless Arsenal just plays flat, gives up a ridiculous goal like they did against Fulham.
I'm telling you, if we concede in the first minute, I'm gonna have a conniption.
Don't blame you.
Because if you remember, the first goal in this game was just another horrendous mistake. Just gives the ball to Rashford 20 yards from goal, and he rips one.
I think that United will probably travel well. I just think there's something to being back in Europe the way they are expected to be, and now there's expectations that they're gonna advance. The Champions League final is in London. I just think there's a lot of things that will make this game a one to watch. I mean, obviously it's the last game of the weekend, so I think while not all the time when you have the primetime games do they live up to that, but I think there's been enough criticism and on both ends for Arsenal and United, where I think they're both Arsenal's better than them. I'll stay with that fact, but I think United have they've had enough sort of things eke out where they're building something in a different way mentally, and I think mentally that's something that's going to matter. And I think just there's a lot more moving parts in Arsenal because of the way the manager functions. And I'm not saying Ten Hag is better than Arteta. I would say they're equal, unfortunately, because I think Arteta should be better than him. But Arteta is in his own way a lot of times. But I think it's 3-2 United. I mean, that 3-2 Arsenal. Sorry, that's 3-2 United. 3-2 Arsenal, and that's it. I think it'll be one worth watching though.
Excellent. Yeah, I certainly agree. I mean, I always say Arsenal is worth watching, but yeah, there you have it. We've predicted 3 Arsenal victories. I'm sure X will get his prediction in as soon as he gets here. He is on his way, but we will go ahead and move on. Another game at Stamford Bridge. Nottingham Forest comes to across town, I should say. Patrick, low blocks. What are we thinking?
Oh man, I think that we got deadline day tomorrow, and I fully expect the whole Cole Palmer transfer to finish out. And there's a belief that he's going to play across the line, especially until Nkunku comes back, and then once he's back, he'll be alternating probably on the left with Mudryk. I really think that Poach really is not wanting to continue to play Chile as a winger.
It's like a winger role, yeah.
Yeah, I think that he really does want to kind of pull him back. I think he's more dangerous, playing on the overlap with a winger. Because he. I think back to when they were in Atlanta. There was a build up, and I was trying to remember who played. It was Cucurella. No, it wasn't Cucurella. Sorry, it was Chile, and it was Gallagher. And Gallagher pulled out to the left, and Chile filled that gap that Gallagher left. And like an
underlap.
Yeah, underlap. And Chile was getting into dangerous spaces, and I would like to see him in that role because there is space there. But with him being out on the wing right now, he's kind of jutted out there. And he can't run an overlap with Colwell or Cuckoo or whoever's going to play back there. So I do think that we'll see Palmer either way. I don't think we'll see him this weekend. I would like to see him this weekend, but I don't think we will. That said, the issue with Chelsea attacking a low block starts and ends with the guy behind the striker. That's why Nkunku is such a huge loss for us right now, because he can feed the balls into Jackson. He could take on a defender. He could take on defenders. And, right now there's no one that's really looking to pick that pass except for Enzo. But if you go back and you look at goals that have been scored where Enzo was involved, he's usually doing a scoop pass because we can't break down that low block, but we pull him out just enough so that there's lanes to run into. So that's one reason why I'm glad we pushed him up, or will push him up in a game. I do think though that with the way Sterling is playing, he can cause problems, especially with him overlapping with Gusto. So our issue really is that 10 role, because we don't have anybody to pick the pass. And it's not just now. I mean, it's been an issue for a long time for Chelsea, at least since Fabregas has left. So I don't expect it to be fixed overnight, but I do think personnel. I also think as this team gels a little bit better, there's a little bit more understanding where people are going to be. Find passes, expecting. All right, if I see Jackson making a diagonal, I'm looking for the person that fills that lane to actually make the pass to. So, that's it. I fully expect us to see another low block, especially if Amwanyi scores early, which he seems to do, unless he comes on as a sub, then he scores late.
Scores late.
I for sure believe that he will score against us. Just because he's like a bull in a china shop. You're not going to be able to stop him. You just hope that he just doesn't beat you up too much. But my thing is I think that there's a little bit of momentum in this team right now. Nothing crazy. I'm not going to say that we're going to go out and we're going to just look amazing. There are going to be times where we just look like, what is wrong with these guys? But I think there's a calming with Caicedo in the six, which allows, of course, Enzo to get forward. And I've gone back and forth on this score because my head says like 2-1. But I actually am going to go 3-1 Chelsea. I just think that Sterling is playing so well that it's going to be hard to keep him off the score sheet, or at least assist wise. And I think that, if I remember right, I think we drew Forest last year. I want to say we may have drew them.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. So I think that there's going to be a want to again enter the break with positive momentum. Also we don't want to lose too far of touch with everybody, because I was looking at the table and I'm like, we're 10th, I think it is, but like we're separated by like a point, from like 6th. So I mean, you really don't want to drop points at home. So I do think that there's going to be a stronger focus to say, hey, let's go get 3. Which, I mean, with Pochettino, there's always going to be that focus to, hey, we're going to go get 3. Mm-hmm. But I do think that we go and we win 3-1. I think that you're not going to stop on Amwanyi. I do think that, with Colwell not being injured, that was kind of a scare, but I think we're fine there. But if he was out, you're probably really going to see more of a 2 backs with Disasi and Silva. Batashili is getting close, which is really nice. But I think you're going to see, if they don't want to chance Colwell on this weekend, I think you see Chilwell, Silva, DCIC, Gusto, and so
where's Badiashile at? Isn't he?
He's been injured. He's been injured
still. Yeah,
he's in his training program. He's very close to being done. I think after the international break, he'll be back. Just like Mudryk. Mudryk will be back then. Who else? Broja should be back then too.
Forgot all about him.
So, and that's there was talk about Chelsea getting another center forward striker, but they want to give Broja a chance. So I do think that he'll get some run once he finally is up to speed. But it's going to come down to good old Nico, which I think he will score. I think Sterling gets one. I don't want to give Enzo one because, well, he had first goal the other day for the first time. So we'll give Enzo one. So I'm going
to. I went back. I was curious, and I took in the full highlights of the Wimbledon game. Wasteful. Absolutely wasteful from Chelsea.
Yeah,
and they gave you Enzo's goal. They gave you Enzo's goal. You should have won 6-1. Like the amount of chances you created.
An absolute sitter. There could have been a goal right at the end, but I think Enzo missed Jackson on the pass, or maybe it's vice versa. And there was another one that I think it was Nani Madueke. I think he missed a sitter too. So yeah, I mean putting the ball in the back of the net, it's always going to be a struggle. It seems like.
Important. It's an important thing.
It's a very important thing, but I think we get some past Matty Turner. I hate that he's coming into camp.
Yeah, he's struggled a little bit already.
But he's really struggled. So,
yeah.
I got 3-1 Chelsea.
Fair enough. Conversely, after watching y'all not be able to, I had 3-1 as well, but then I watched y'all miss 6, 7, 8 chances versus Wimbledon, and I bumped it down to a 2-1. Like you say, I think that counter, it's gonna get you a couple times. I think, and they need to keep Brendan Johnson. Spurs are lurking, but they need to keep Brendan Johnson. I think that they're gonna stifle that midfield. Connor's gonna have a lot of work to do, lots and lots of work to do. A lot of running for the young man. Yeah, but I say 2-1. What you thinking, Lewis?
I think Sterling being left out of the national team, deservedly so, but being left out of the national team, and a little bit of news narrative momentum for some of the signings at Chelsea will propel them and compel them to take advantage of this opportunity, because you can't really ask for a better opponent to take before you go into a break. I mean, I feel like they're at home. It's Nottingham Forest. They're mid, and to call them mid is being nice. And Chelsea just had sort of another mid-ish team. I think they win 3-0. I think they put him to the sword, and I think because Sterling has heard everyone talk about him, and just the way he's been recently producing and the growth that he's had, I think he really likes managers like Pochettino and Guardiola, and he had an Argentine manager in Pellegrini as well. So I think there's a connection there where his play has been better. I think Jackson will be good. I think Enzo is going to start to come a little bit more for who they think he is. I think Caicedo will be a little more settled, especially when you have a weaker opponent. I think it's just the pressure will be different for them, and I think they'll take more chances. And the wastefulness that you mentioned, I think they'll convert. Because
if we get one early, I don't see how Forrest plays a low block, and then it could get quite open.
But the opposite is true. If
we don't get one,
it takes you 80 minutes. Early,
it's going to be just a brick wall that we're going to be running into over.
Well, if it's 0-0 in the 80th.
Oh gosh, we're just going to hold on for that one at that point.
You can't be holding on at home to Forest. Like if Chelsea are back. If Chelsea are bouncing back, you got to win this game.
Yeah, I will find a way to win this. Last week I was a little concerned because I was like, are we ever going to score and actually beat someone at the bridge? We did. We've done it twice now.
Just have Caicedo. Kick Owanye or stick to him like glue.
Just a couple times, So
yeah. Well, all right. There you go. 3 Chelsea wins. Lewis has a shutout there. I am less certain, but we move. Manchester City also at home to Fulham, who are breaking hearts all week long. They've knocked Spurs out of the cup. Very Spursy thing.
Heck of a week against London rivals.
Yeah, go Fulham or not.
Or not.
I think when I did my pick for this one, especially, I mean, if João Paulinho stays, which it is transfer deadline day, and so who knows what craziness can happen.
It sounds like he might be going.
Yeah, who knows what can happen in the next 8 or 9 hours? But if he plays in this game, I think if he stays at Fulham, that'll be huge for them.
Oh yeah.
But one thing I wanted to ask you, Lewis, Erling Haaland, for me, seems to relish these physical battles because for some reason that's become popular wisdom to try to have a wrestling match with Haaland, and that's how you defend him. And if you look, watching him closely throughout the last game, the Sheffield game, he looked frustrated, but he always looked like he was going to score. You could see it in his eyes. He wasn't like, this sucks and oh, poor pitiful me. It was kind of it's coming. It's coming. So do you think he relishes that fight, or do you think he would rather, kind of out finesse people?
He said something today when he won the Male Player of the Year award, and they asked him about who's tougher, his Pep or his dad. Mm-hmm. And he said he really liked the fact that when Pep yells at him, he's trying to make him better. And I mean, Pep obviously is not going to be there, but I'm pretty sure the manager is going to talk to them before, they play the game. And yeah. I think the thing about it is even though he was frustrated in the last game, he got a bunch of chances he didn't finish. So in his head, he's like, well, it's not about they actually haven't stopped me from doing anything. I just got to convert those. And so that's a matter of just sort of finding form. Because, I mean, the header was anticipation, and then he had a couple of misses, and obviously you got the pen miss. And so I think hunger is probably the right word, because I know, he's young enough and he's into the world enough social media wise to understand, the Premier League is now promoting him because the Premier League looks great if he wins the Ballon d'Or. So we know what the narrative is. We know what the campaign is now. The campaign is now, okay, the Ballon d'Or is a FIFA award, right? It's no longer a European award. It's a FIFA award. So now, and you really didn't see this before, but when you see it, for example, even the PFA did it. If you looked at the PFA, there was a lot of soccer promotion that was there. Deservedly so. Soccer had a really good season to win the young player
for the
award.
young player. Yeah.
And so, but then you started to see more Haaland, and you started to see more personality interview, and then the Premier League, their sort of PR machine, they promoted that. But then what you started to see was they started to promote his resume. And you look at social media now, they're promoting his entire resume now. And the reason they're doing that is because we already know what it is they're going to use the Messi resume versus his. And so it's about the narrative. You have
Get out of here, man.
you have to use the narrative of, okay, people are going to say the World Cup is greater than a treble and yada yada, because I've already seen sort of that narrative. And so Haaland understands there's a couple of things he can do to strengthen this narrative. Going into the international break, obviously he's going to play and probably score for his national team. Him and Odegaard will get their thing going, and he'll probably have 3 goals during the break. But what they understand is that they're looking at, okay, well, now you're playing in the league. And so they really touted how many goals he has in the calendar year. And so people are like, well, Messi scored a fulfilling goals, and Haaland would have to score 2 goals every game. And so now you put a metric that's measurable and possible for him.
But he almost did that.
But
he almost hit that.
But my
that's
point
my point. It's crazy numbers. It's not even a conversation for me, man.
No, and I get that. But see, the thing about it is that, he got a taste. And to win the European Men's Player of the Year, and then to get voted on by your peers in England. I think it's something where he's saying, okay, they see me and I need to get better, because you can see he's gotten a little bit better and a little bit better, and he's getting chances. So I think depending on the team sheet, because you got some guys coming in, like I think Nunez will probably be over the line tomorrow, and
Will he
I
get
think,
registered though? He might not. He might not be in time for the game.
well, they said he did his physical today, so if that is the case, I think the goal is to get as many of those guys in there before the break, because it's just easier to just get that stuff done, and they can have like a debut at home because it's a home game.
Yeah.
I think Doku plays, and I think that's going to cause all kind of issues, because you really don't know how to play against him because he hasn't played in the Prem. But to the Holland point, I think Holland probably gets a brace. I picked the 3-0 because the defense has been super solid. I like Vardiol. Stones is probably not back, but I can expect Walker, Diaz, and probably Ake
Hey
in
man,
there,
we were watching.
or Kanji.
Yeah, you said you rewatched the Champions League final this morning before the draw, and I had it on while I was doing some work. Ruben Diaz, like this man, you can't say enough about Ruben Diaz. Like, yeah, Johnny Stones was instrumental, and your last season and in that Champions League run. You won't miss him.
No,
You
because
won't
you
miss
got
him.
other people who can do that.
Diaz, but I'm just talking about as far as defensive stability. Ruben Diaz is an absolute. I think he's underrated, even though he is celebrated. I still think he's underrated because he's
Well,
he's a monster back there, man.
well, of course he's underrated. I mean, I've told you before where I said in the game they played Sevilla in the Super Cup, if he played in the game, they don't score. They literally don't score that header because that's a mistake that he doesn't allow to happen. And I mean, again, I've given Saliba credit, but the fact that people are comparing Saliba to Diaz is, I'm not going to say it's insulting, but I think it's a bit premature. I think Saliba can be there, but Diaz doesn't make that mistake because, for example, the recovery tackle that Saliba makes is off of his own error.
Whoa, whoa,
Where
whoa, 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 whoa! I've been waiting for an opportunity to set the record straight on that because no one went back another 4 seconds on that play to where Kai Havertz has hit the ball 30 feet in the air,
oh yeah, it was bad. It was
and
bad, but
and the ball comes down, and okay, yes, Willie Saliba should be trapping that. A professional should be trapping that. I get that, but it's not like it was the greatest. It's not. It wasn't even a pass. Kai has hit it up into the sky like he tends to do without even looking at what he was doing, and it put his man in a tough spot because Saliba was pressured, and so he's lost the ball, and he's had to make a 50-yard run and an amazing slide tackle to make up for a ridiculous pass. So let's set the record straight on that one.
yeah, but I mean that's basically what I said. I mean, he still made a bad pass. I mean, yeah, what he got before it was terrible, but I mean, just like I could own Kyle Walker was stupid for making the back pass. I mean, a mistake is a
Isn't
mistake.
just
Players,
laying on
but
the pitch.
players make mistakes. It doesn't take anything from him because he had the wherewithal and the athleticism to make the recovery. But again, it's just it's a play where your players, and again, the point being, the comparison to Saliba to Diaz is very premature. That's literally my underlying point.
Sure.
And so with that, I just think Foden is going to start feeling it, and a lot of these guys are going to be going into this break looking to sort of to show what they are. I mean, Grealish has something to prove, and he's been better. And I think Fulham is a decent team, but I mean, they're going to the fortress, man. And I think that they're used to it, and they've been recognized, but they still have the chip on their shoulder about just not really being recognized as being what they are. And I think they solidify themselves with a Holland brace, and I think Alvarez, which people are starting to see. I saw some commentary that said if Holland wasn't in the team, Alvarez would be the best striker in the league, which I wouldn't say the best, but he would be top tier for sure, and because he scores. I mean,
Well, you've been pleading his case, shouting it out to the heavens for 7-8 months now.
but he's consistent. Like he's literally consistent. And it's
Yeah.
it's about movement, and he plays very similarly to Aguero, and the team was set up to play where Aguero thrived in that team, and I think he does the same. I think it's just a matter of getting the guys with the service. I think one thing you will see is I think you're going to see a little more uh, um, sort of daring from Kova. I think he's gonna start doing a little more things because the thing about it is that because he and
Because he's
Rodri,
got Rodri there, and he knows that
right,
Rodri will mop up.
right, and so I think you're gonna see more from him. I think you're gonna see more shots from him, and I think you're gonna see him try to make more passes. Because, like Patrick has mentioned, the ball sticks to him like glue. So I think he's gonna make some of those runs, which he's made during the season so far. But he's gonna make a couple of those runs, and I think he and Holland are gonna connect. Because if we remember last year in the podcast early season when we were talking about like guys just didn't know how to play with Holland because they didn't know how to pass to him or his movements, you're gonna see a lot more of those passes coming. Vardy will probably be making passes. And you see more long balls from City as well this year because De Bruyne is not in the team. And that's where I think the 3-0 will just come.
Yeah, I agree. I've hit the same 3-0. I think who's gonna sit for Doku, Foden or Grealish?
It depends because I think Grealish starts. I don't think
So
Doku
Foden.
starts. I don't think
Oh,
Doku
okay.
starts. I think he's sort of like when I was talking about who was it? Who I call the super sub?
Trossard.
Trossard. I think he's sort of going to do. I mean, they're both Belgian, right? So there you go. So there's the super sub there, where I think just Doku probably won't get a chance or a sniff to start until Guardiola's fully back in the team.
Gotcha. What are you saying, Patrick?
I actually went 3-0 too.
Well, there you go.
I just think going to City is it's another animal. I know Fulham's riding high with the week they've had because they should be. They got a draw at the Emirates. They knocked out Spurs from the League Cup, but Paulinho is gone. That's a huge hole that they're not going to be able to fill in their midfield. And they're already going to struggle to get the ball off of City anyways, and then you take him out and it's going to be even worse. I don't see how Fulham can score. I also said that last week, and of course they did find a way last week, but one of those was literally just a total mistake. But I can't see City giving up goals, and that's really weird because last year I always joked, Ederson's going to ship one. I think that there's enough competition now at the goalkeeper position that he can't ship one because Ortega will just slide right in, and he ain't giving it up at that point. So I think that there's a sharpness from Ederson to keep Fulham from finding one. But yeah, I went 3-0. I think it'll be pretty easy street for City. I actually was thinking about going a little bit higher, but I think without Pep there's a little bit missing of that killer mentality. I think just because he exudes it so much that you can't
Feel it all the way from the hospital in Barcelona.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can't really replace that on the touchline without him. I think that but Holland's, I feel like he's kind of ticked off just because of the way teams have been playing him, that he's just going to say screw it and just do Holland things as well. So 3-0.
Yeah, there you have it. City staring down a perfect record going into the international break. But I think another one that is pretty spicy, although we're not sure if Newcastle will have recovered from today's events, but they do travel to the Amex on Saturday, I think this game is.
Both teams are coming off of a pretty rough one last weekend.
Yeah. Newcastle ship it to Liverpool, and then today just welcome to the Champions League. What a terrible group for and Arsenal and City are sitting there like, okay, all right. And then Newcastle just gets the worst possible group ever. That's gonna I don't know if it'll be in their head for this game, but Lewis, your second place prediction, man, that might be one of your 5 changes tonight.
It's not.
Oh, because you're thinking the opposite of what I'm thinking. Because I think they're gonna go for it and have some real entertaining games. But if they do go out early, maybe, but they might be a dark horse in that group, man. They might be a dark horse, but we'll get to those games when they arrive. Brighton. Oh, man. It's a tough one. Brighton at home. It's going to be open. I've said 2-2. I think Newcastle will be back to scoring goals. And Brighton just invite people to be brave. We saw that Newcastle were a little timid against Liverpool, against 10-man Liverpool. It's kind of odd. But I don't think there'll be that kind of feel to this game. I think it'll be back and forth, open. I just think Newcastle will be just too much for Brighton to actually win the game, especially after the West Ham performance. They got to finish better. They got to find the scoring base.
Finish better, but they've got to defend better too.
Well, yeah, I mean, it won't be like attack versus defense like that game in this one. It'll be possession will be a bit more evenly spread, I feel like, and I think there'll be nothing in between them, but I think it'll be a good game. 2-2, I've said.
I actually went 2-1 Brighton. I think that first off, how did they pull off Fati? I mean, that's going to be annoying.
I don't like that.
I know he's been injured or whatever, but that's going to be annoying to deal with.
I don't like it at all.
Don't either.
I don't like that. I'm glad he didn't go to Spurs. I'm grateful that he's not at Spurs. But, dude, Matoma on one side, Fati on the other side, João Pedro down the middle. It's looking good.
Solly Marsh or Ferguson.
It's looking good over there, Brighton.
They got something, brewing. I just think that last weekend was, Brighton can kind of look past that and say, you know what, we had all this possession, we took our chances, we just didn't get it past them. Newcastle got bamboozled. I mean,
sucker punched,
and you just don't come back from that. I mean, just the look of the players when Nunez scored that second goal, they were defeated. And I hate the idea of hangovers, but that's a hard one to come back from because you were up, you were doing well, you had you had their best defender off the field. You got a team who struggles in the midfield, which they're going to try to I think they're about to sign Gravenbach from
I've heard those rumors as well.
Bayern. So their new midfield will be Endo and Gravenbach.
They won't play together though. Those two won't play together though, will they? Aren't they the same position? I don't really know much about
play together.
This new guy. Yeah, I don't really know much about the new guy.
I saw someone try to suggest that Thiago should be a 6, and I was like, "What? What?
Is he still injured?"
He is. He's coming back pretty soon. I think.
He's always injured.
But he's always injured. But yeah, somebody suggested that, and I just looked at it and just chuckled. I'm like, no, you don't want Thiago as a 6. That said, I've got Brighton 2-1. Brighton's going to break them down.
Newcastle just aren't inspiring right now. They're just not inspiring anyone right now.
No, they're not, and it's frustrating because all the moves that they've made, they're not Chelsea moves by any means, but they've made a lot of moves. They brought in Tonali. They brought in oh gosh, who was the other big one that they brought in?
Well, Anthony Gordon was in the
Yeah, so Gordon was in
January.
That's right. They actually brought in. I think they're bringing in two Chelsea. No, they were bringing. I'm sorry, they were bringing in another former Chelsea player. So their wing backs or their outside backs could be actual Chelsea former players, youth at that. And Bruno really hasn't gotten off to a good start.
It's been quiet.
And we discussed that last year that when they were playing well, he was bossing. And I think he's going to have trouble bossing in this one too. So 2-1, and it'll be a good result for Brighton. They'll feel a lot better, and then of course they get Fati to just cause even more chaos for everybody in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. What you saying, Lewis?
So I think it's 2-2, but I think because I think you mentioned it, or it might have been both of you guys. I think the game will be open, and I think Newcastle will be playing for something, because there's the thought of they're in a tough group, and I think they're going to be playing to kind of prove, because people have been literally taking a dump on them all day.
Yeah.
All day they've been taking a dump on
The
them.
dude's face when he saw the group has been memed already so many times.
And so I think because people have literally taken a dump on them, because they really think that, for them, I'm insulted, so we don't have the quality to pair up with any of those guys. And for me, if I'm Eddie Howe, that's bulletin board material easily. Because then you're like, okay, and then you got this up and coming team in Brighton, so I have something to prove against them. I picked the draw, but I think that's because Brighton also, with their European future being decided or revealed soon,
That's in the morning.
I think both of them are gonna have like something where we belong here. So I think they're gonna play like to the wall, man. And I think I just think, because of the way it'll be open like that, I think you'll see a lot of shots. I think it's 2-2, and I think it'll be one. I mean, is that the last? I just look. I think that's the. Hold on, that's the last game of Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
I think that's another one where I just think both that that you got the Arsenal game on Sunday and the Brighton game, that you can just see these are going to be ones to watch. I think they're both going to be really good games to watch. I just think because Newcastle knows they're going to have to go to a lot of places and beat big boys, I think them showing up and getting a draw is going to be something that they probably won't feel great about. But I think in the process of having 72 hours of people just taking a dump on how they're not good enough, will be enough in their head where they'll be like, we'll take the 2-2 with the anger going forward. And I think Brighton is just it is there because you make the mention about like changing them. I think that again, I still think they go out the Champions League early, and I think that allows them to focus on the league. And again, that's another chip on their shoulder because they seem to like to have that chip. They like to be at home. They like the chip, and then they get up for it. Now, that makes them open, but I think that's going to benefit them. I still think they'll finish second. Now, it does. I can't remember where I had Brighton in my original picks for the table place, but Brighton, I do feel a little different about, and I've changed. I think I've changed where they are, but I'm not sure. But we'll talk about that later.
You did not have them in the top 8 at all.
Oh, well, I have changed my mind on that.
Yeah. We'll get to those at the end. We'll make some changes. I myself have made a couple of changes to my preseason predictions. But yeah, Brighton Newcastle should be a fun one. Another fun one, just before the Arsenal Man U game, Aston Villa travel to Anfield. Should be a fun game. It's gonna be a barnstormer, man. It's gonna be back and forth.
That will be a very open game.
I said 3-3. Yeah, I think it's gonna be lots of goals. It's going to be a fun one. Take my mind off of the nerves and the trepidation. Hopefully Arteta will make me happy in the middle of that game with a nice lineup, and we'll see a ton of goals for Liverpool and Villa. I like Luis Diaz, man. I'm a fan. And I like Moussa Diaby as well. These speedy wingers, man, that are flying right now. This game here is gonna be a good one. And I've changed my because my assists, I've changed it up because McAllister doesn't really play the role I thought he was going to.
Exactly.
And so you might be surprised at my new assist king, but he's still wearing Liverpool red. I think this is going to be a really fun game, though.
What time is this one?
This is the 9 o'clock on Sunday, right before the Arsenal game.
Have to get up for that one.
Yeah, there's another game on Sunday at the same time that I'm like, no one's watching that. I think
it's one where you want to stab your eyes out.
Yeah, I think it's Palace and Wolves. Yeah, good call. Absolutely.
Well, I thought it was Sheffield United versus Everton.
No, Sheffield Everton. That's the one. That's the game of the weekend. Yeah. But yeah, I got 3-3 at Anfield. I think without Virgil van Dijk, that defense could be ripped apart. But they're going to score, so it's going to be fun.
I think 2-2. I think it'll be really open. I think I've changed my position on Villa too, but it'll be different than what you think. But I think it'll be open. I can't really change much that you said. I think that's pretty spot on, and I think it does get some people to get up for going to Anfield. I think Villa will like that challenge.
Yep. Got what score did you say?
2-2.
2-2. Yeah, nice. Go for it, Patrick.
All right. What happened on Sunday for Liverpool was so unexpected.
Almost flukish.
Exactly. Ken Nunez, which I picked him outside of Holland, being my golden boot this year, but everybody picked Holland, so we're all going with Holland. So I'm not surprised that he scored. I'm surprised how he scored in that moment. So, that's a lot of, like I was talking about with Newcastle and that being kind of a hangover and a punch in the mouth. It's vice versa, or it's totally opposite for Liverpool. They're riding high. They're going back to Anfield. They got a win that they probably shouldn't have gotten, but they pulled it out. Kudos to them. But I think some guys played above their level too. Especially defensively. So I do think that this will be very open. I don't think that there's going to be a chance for, somebody to sit back and absorb pressure and all that. It's going to be ping pong ball is what I like to call it. It's like, okay, we're down.
A real basketball game.
The
ref's going to get some exercise. We'll put it that way.
Exactly. If VAR gets into play, but it's Anfield. I love Unai Emery, what he's doing with Villa. I picked him to have a good season. I'm still leaning that way. So I'm going to actually go with Liverpool pulling this out, just because of they're at Anfield. I think if they went to Villa, this would be like a 2-2. But I'm going to go 3-2 to the Liverpool.
3-2 to the Reds. Nice. Well, yeah, definitely going to be a fun one right before the Arsenal game. We'll revert all the way back to tomorrow afternoon.
Kenilworth Stadium or Kenilworth Road.
The first home game for the Hatters, I believe, is their
They are the
mascot.
Hatters. They are. And I
But
think that they advanced in League Cup this week, too.
nice. Only thing is, they got the flying high West Hammers. James Ward-Prowse leading the way. Antonio scoring goals. Oh, Luton. West Ham are huge at the back. So the whole lob it forward and knock it down thing that Luton are trying to get into, trying to be the new Brentford, is going to be tough. Going to be tough for them. But I'm cheering for him. I would really love to see Luton do well. They did not make it into my changes for this for our predictions. So still going to be a rough season for them, I think. But yeah, I think West Ham are going to be too much. I've gone with a 2-0 West Ham win. They're going to give a free kick. James Ward-Prowse is going to sink it. And Antonio is going to keep the run going.
I think it's 3-1 to West Ham. I think Luton gets baptized and say welcome home, and then they smack them around. They'll get one because they're at home, but I think West Ham completely dominates the game. I don't think there's anything in it for them, for Luton Town, Luton Town, however you pronounce it. I say both because I might be right in there somewhere. I'm not gonna really add much more because I'm gonna be honest. I might check this game out. I might, but I don't know. I know for sure I'll watch the highlights.
I'm definitely watching the game. There I may be feeling froggy enough to do a live watch along. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling tomorrow afternoon, but I'll definitely watch the game regardless. I want to see what Kenilworth Road's like.
You can see the FIFA player made stadium.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much in it. I wish him well. I think it's still 3-1. I think the energy in there will be nice, but it'll be full. It'll be full for sure. And congratulations and welcome to the Premier League. And West Ham is going to say yes with the hammer. Welcome to the Premier League.
Yeah. Well, at least it wasn't City for the first home game,
Yeah.
But they'll have to go there eventually. That could be a bloodbath. You were calling for a 10-0 last season. Yeah.
11.
11.
I'm gonna go ahead and put that down as your prediction. I'm gonna find the game. What do you think, Patrick?
So I'm going to kind of flip it a little bit here. So the thing that we have to realize with West Ham is their performances have come off of playing on the counter. They've had to play defensively, and then they hit teams on the counter. They're not going to be able to hit Luton on the counter. Luton's not going to have the ball. If anybody's going to hit anybody on the counter, it's going to be Luton. Sure. So here we go. Can they break down a low block? I think they struggle. I actually think that Luton gets an early goal. That place goes insane as a result. I just think West Ham's also too big. They'll get one, off of a free kick, or of course you've got, off of a corner. You've got, James Ward-Prowse, who's going to probably put one in because he can't stop scoring. So I'm going to go 2-1 West Ham, but I think there's going to start being some questions of, are they just really good because they can play on the counter, because Ward-Prowse can break down, a low block sometimes, but with Antonio, he's looking to bully guys in space. There's not going to be a lot of space. There's not. So it comes down to Paqueta. It comes down to Prowse. I feel like I'm missing somebody, but Jared Bowen as well.
Bowen, Antonio, yeah.
But see, you're talking about Bowen and Antonio have played so well because they've gotten to play off of a counter because sitting there, West Ham's taking shot after shot after shot after shot off, and they're not gonna face that against Luton. They're just not. So 2-1 to West Ham just because they're better. but I fully expect them to get a goal, Luton to get a goal, and that place to go a little bonkers. And West Ham's experience will win out. They'll calm themselves and find two. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right. I think it'll be once again. It'll be good to see their fans freaking out on a goal. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. I know they'll do it at least once this season. But I still think it'll be a tough one, tough long season for Luton, unfortunately. Speaking of tough, and I'm talking about going to be tough to watch, Sheffield is hosting Everton. Now, I took it upon myself to watch the highlights of the energy drink cup yesterday. Both of these teams versus lower league opposition. It's bad, guys. It's bad news bears for Everton, man. Like
First of all, it's not lower league competition. They'll be there soon enough. They will be there soon enough.
Who? Lincoln City?
They'll be there soon
City.
enough.
Lincoln City and Doncaster. Those are the opponents.
Was up on Everton.
Doncaster was beating Everton for 70 minutes, and Lincoln City beat Sheffield in a penalty shootout.
Oh.
They'll get to play all of them more often as they get relegated and continue to be relegated.
Lincoln City. So, with that being said, this is going to be an absolute barnstormer of a no. It's 0-0. This is going to be an eyesore, and no one's going to score. RLC still out, or not RLC. Calvert-Lewin is still out. Yeah, Dan Juma's just not doing it for me, man. Neil Maupay, I hope this new guy Beto that scored yesterday can
he gets on the pitch, he scores.
Yeah,
I know it was Doncaster, but
that goal wasn't all nothing to write home about. So, for Everton's sake,
Everton doesn't put the ball in the back of the net. So anytime they get one, let alone two, it's something to celebrate right now.
Yeah, but conversely, Sheffield won't score either.
You don't think Hammer will score?
No, I do not. I think McBurney's decent, and I think he'll be able to have a nice battle with Tarkovsky back there in the back for Everton. But Sheffield struggled mightily to score against no-name McGee. Like, come on, this game's gonna be rough.
We're looking at you, Lewis. How did you let them score against you?
Yeah. How'd you let Sheffield score? Almost a heart crusher. Oh, yeah, because Kyle Walker did a madness. Absolute moment of madness. Yeah. So I got 0-0. I think it's just going to be a drab nothing of a game.
Well, I think it's a play up. Like you actually mentioned City, and I think that's why I have a 1-1. Because I think they play to their competition, which is probably the worst thing any team can do, is to play to who you are and who your opponent is. Because if you're better, you beat them and show them you're better. And I think Everton's bad, and I think Sheffield's bad, and I think there's a combination of you mentioned that they both played lower tier teams, and I made my comment as to what it was. They'll be there soon enough, but it'll be the slow paint drying process. Of them making it there, but I think they both get one because I think they're both bad enough to let one in on both sides. I think it's the mediocrity that gets them both one. And then you're just gonna be like
It's gonna get bundled over on a free kick or something.
I can't see them stopping anyone from scoring, which is why I have one. So I mean, I get where you're saying they don't have anyone to score, but I think they're bad enough where there will be goals that you're like, why did that go in? Like, I just feel like that's going to happen. It's sort of the bad game goals.
I feel like I thought the game was going to be bad. but you thought the game was so bad that they couldn't keep him out. I'm looking at it from the completely different angle. You're like, yeah, no one can score, but they can't defend either. So there's somebody's gonna score.
Right. In addition to that, Patrick, you brought up, you said how did the city get one? And I mean, I brought up, that Kyle Walker turned his brain off for half a second. You think that the Everton defense don't have at least 4 of those guys? Come on, man. There's somebody's gonna do something stupid, and you're gonna be like, "How did they do that?"
Good old Ashley Young. Good old Ashley Young's back in the back there for Everton.
As a matter of fact, I can see 2 yellows to a red for that, because these guards are flying, man. So I can see it.
Oh,
but
man.
It'll be the mediocre cup.
Not only is it gonna be El Sacco like last year, but it's gonna be full of red cards. Oh man.
It's like when you're playing FIFA and you get one like stupid, like there's a stupid goal or you get a stupid red card, and then you just get mad and you just keep trying to get.
You just try to forfeit. You try to catch a forfeit. Yeah. You got a score for this one, Patrick? You think there's going to be any goals in this one?
I do actually. I think there's one. I think there's one goal. I think that Pickford gets a clean sheet, and Everton gets their first goal in the season.
Nice. The away win at Bramall Lane for Everton. Yeah, they're going to need it. They're definitely going to need it.
This is a 6-pointer for sure.
This is
a 6-pointer.
I forgot how massive the game is to them, because they're so evenly, matched and evenly placed in the table, and that's where we expect them to be at the end. So you're totally right. This is a massive game for them, but I'm just like, I mean, maybe we're wrong, and it's just an absolute crazy game because they both know they need it. It's some kind of 3-2 madness. Hey, it's the only game at that time. This is the 7:30 game. I don't
forced to watch it.
I don't think anyone. Well, I mean, it's 7:30 a.m. on the East Coast, so not sure how many people are getting up for Premier League mornings. Just throwing that out there. But I mean, unless you're, Raj from Men in Blazers, I'm sure he'll be up watching.
He's up at 5 a.m. for this one,
watching the Everton match. Yeah, but yeah. Another.
Did you see his video where he was talking about they're gonna do the double. They're gonna win. They're gonna win the League Cup and also get
relegated.
Get relegated.
That might be a unique double. Or has somebody done that? Has someone done that before?
I don't know.
What do you mean? City under Mancini lost to what is this?
Wigan. It was Wigan.
They lost to Wigan and they won the FA Cup.
Roberto Martinez.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
That is right.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Well, yeah, Everton need it. Everton needs something, because they so far, if you look at the table, they have goose eggs in all columns except for goals against. I think they've given 6 goals. It's not good. Speaking of teams that are going to be down near the bottom, Bournemouth are traveling to the G-Tech to visit the Bees, the Cherries and the Bees. Oh man, not much in this one. I feel like Bournemouth just aren't going to have enough on the road. Brentford are going to be too strong at home. I'm back at Mbomo. Maybe an Mbomo brace, and he's just going to have his way with them. Bournemouth are struggling to score this season too, man.
They've had a rough start. They had to go to Anfield. They had Spurs at home, which, I mean, we'll get into Spurs later. And then they got to go to Brentford. It's like, man.
It's a tough start.
That's a tough
start for them.
Very, very tough start.
Like, when I was looking at my changes to predictions, I was thinking maybe Bournemouth, but I think they'll just edge safety this season. But I do have 2-0 to the Bees in this one.
Bees.
Good old game down the road in London. Yeah. What you thinking, Lewis?
I'm on the same page. I think Brentford against either competition that's equal to them or maybe a little less than them are very difficult to beat at home. I got them winning 2-1. I think Bournemouth is what they are. I think they stay up, but I think Brentford is better than them. I think Brentford is still like a for sure a mid-table team, the upper mid-table team, and I think that's enough. I mean they've shown they know how to function without their striker, and the money they're going to make on him in January from Arsenal is just going to
80
be wonderful.
mil.
They're going to
Gonna be
make money.
lots. It's gonna be lots.
They're gonna make money off of him.
It will be exorbitant.
Yeah, and he'll be replacing Jesus, and so I'm shooting straight, right? And so they'll take that money and invest it pretty well, and they've shown that they know how to play without like focusing or depending on a guy. But the 2-1, I think everybody scores this week. I have a feeling about goals, just because the VAR is weird, the officiating is weird, and I think that's what opens it to everyone having an opportunity to get that odd goal. But
Yeah.
I think the Bees handle business at home because they do. They normally handle business at home if it's not against the top six.
Yeah, fair enough. And sometimes even when it is. I just had to throw just a little jab. Just had to throw a little jab out there. What you saying, Patrick?
So I went back and looked who Bournemouth has played to start the season, and I know I mentioned Liverpool and mentioned Spurs. They also got a draw
To West Ham.
against West Ham.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's been brutal, and now having to go to Brentford. If you look at just comparing schedules, Brentford's already played Spurs, Bournemouth's played Spurs, Brentford got a draw, Bournemouth lost 2-0. You know, I actually really like this Bournemouth team. I still think that they stay up. They're gonna get some points along the way. They won't get in this one though. I can tell you that already.
It's very interesting to me how different they're playing under this new manager, and the fact that it's way different than what Gary O'Neill was playing. But Gary O'Neill is also doing something way different at Wolves. So it's kind of an interesting. It's kind of an interesting thing. Is that what it is? You think that Bournemouth just can't score?
Well, no. I mean, I think they have. I mean, who's the guy? He plays behind Solanke. I'd have to go and
Talk
look.
about Billings.
The guy with the hair starts with an S. I think is his name or his last name.
Yeah.
Let me look. I can tell you real quick.
You said, go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that Bournemouth can't score. They obviously could score because they could have scored 3 goals against Liverpool in the first 5 minutes 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I think Brentford's just better. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that sounds silly, to just say, oh, they're just better. But I mean, they are. They're just better. Semenyo.
Gotcha. Semenyo. Yeah.
He's very active.
He's looked decent.
He's looked good. He's looked good. I don't love Solanke. Former Chelsea guy, kind of left on weird terms, went straight to Liverpool. But then he flopped to Liverpool. So, who won out on that one? Chelsea, of course.
He's doing okay. He's good for Bournemouth.
He's good for Bournemouth. He's just he actually started for Chelsea at one point too. It was a difficult time. We won't talk about it.
Yeah.
But no, I think that Brentford's really good at home. They seem to have it together. Thomas Frank, I got to give him credit. I said that he would be the one to have the most red cards as a manager. He's got these guys playing well together. You would have thought that Tony being out would have changed the way this team looked. but they just keep doing what they're doing. Mbomo looks great. Wisa looks great. So I don't see how Bournemouth keeps them out. Um, I know that Bournemouth spent actually a pretty penny to get Max Aarons, but I watched him last week. I really wasn't that overly impressed with him. Um, so I think you get 3-0 for Brentford. They play really, really well at the G Tech. So give me 3-0 Brentford.
That they do. All right, Lewis. Your boys Burnley are hosting Spurs at Turf Moor. Kind of an interesting one. This, um, man, I like Vincent Company. I like what he's doing at Burnley, and I think they're brave. I enjoyed that game against Villa, even though they got ripped apart. That's just what Villa do. I'm backing him. Maybe there's a certain reason for why I'm backing him against Yole Spurs. But there might be a hangover, like you were saying, Patrick, to going out in the Cup versus Fulham with the B squad from Spurs. Um, it was not a good game. That was a truly awful game. Neither team were very good. Uh, but yeah, man, I think it's gonna be an open game. I think Spurs are going to. I think it'll be a little bit like the City game that Burnley played. They're not going to be super low, and they'll try to have the ball when they get it. Um, but Spurs are also going to try to keep the ball. That's just the way Big Ange is doing things these days. So I've gone with a 2-2. It's just going to be a pretty fun game.
Yeah, it's a good
It's at
pick.
Turf Moor, so I'm back in the Clarets.
I'm excited for Burnley. I think Burnley is a good team. I think Vinny kind of mentioned it before that they're in the process of learning. I think learning the league, learning the physicality, learning the teams, and I think this is an opportunity specifically because you think, well, they played Villa, but Villa had a coach in the system that has kind of been in place. So, you're playing against something that existed when they played City. Same difference. Who was their other game? I don't have the schedule.
They haven't played a third game.
Oh, okay.
They were supposed to play Luton at home,
Luton, right?
but it was
And they
postponed.
would have smoked them.
They
So
would have beat Luton. Yeah.
and so I think because of that, I think Vinny goes into this game where they're at home, so I think that gives them a slight advantage. But in addition to that, I think watching Spurs lose, even though it wasn't their A squad, but watching them lose gives you enough because those guys in the team that lost still are playing in the system that they're learning. And I think Vinny is smart enough from sort of a defender's sort of mentality standpoint, manager standpoint, where if you actually go back and look at Burnley last year, when they started the year last year, it was rough. And people are like, is Vincent Company really going to make it? You can go back. There's plenty of press
You talk about
clippings.
in the championship?
Yeah, there was plenty of clippings when he came from Anderlecht because he struggled early at Anderlecht, and then he got good, got the job in the Prem, and they struggled early, and then he found the stride because as the captain he is, it's about buying in and seeing that like they played some tough teams, but they got a goal and they were in them all, and they just weren't finishing. So it's about being clinical, and I think giving him more time, I think while I actually like where Spurs are and the direction they're going as far as play style, and I like their manager. I think this is an open game. I think Burnley win 3-2, but I
Nice.
think it's because it's the Vinny at home, and they saw blood. They just saw them lose. That's
Yeah.
enough for me to know. Okay, while they've been successful, I watched you lose in a game you probably shouldn't have lost. So let's evaluate that, attack some of those things, think about how you would counter those things, and then we already know where we are, where we've played some of the toughest teams in the league, and we held our own because when Burnley played City, while they lost, they did hold their own, and when they played Villa, they lost, but they held their own. And even when they went down, they kept coming back. And I see there's a sort of an intensity and durability that exists where they have the mentality of we're going to just keep going. And I think that's enough where Spurs are Spurs. They're Spurs. I mean, yes, you have a new manager, and I think that'll help them to a degree, but it's still the culture of the the team of the football club is still there. Burnley at home, 3-2.
Love it. What you saying, Patrick?
So I'll be honest, I have not watched much of Burnley this year. So I don't have a great read on them so far. I have watched Spurs.
They won their League Cup game. They're through in the League Cup.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I have watched Spurs. They've actually been enjoying to watch, but I agree with Lewis. You take one that you shouldn't. I mean, truthfully, they shouldn't. And maybe some doubt starts to creep in a little bit. James Madison is crazy as it is. He's playing well. Basuma looks great. I just think that going to Turf Moor is hard. And like Lewis said, Vinny's going to get it going. The thing you have to remember though with this Burnley team is last year they were using a lot of loaned players. So while it was successful, you're kind of having to integrate a new team.
It's new
in a way, which they may be getting a couple other players on loan that they had last year to kind of solidify things. I just think you go to Turf Moor, you're going into a bee's nest for sure. I think Spurs are a little bit licking their wounds. They kind of got a little too high, and so I'm going to go Burnley 2, Spurs 1.
I'm loving the Burnley wins. I love that, and I would definitely love to see it. I think it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a good game. We got one more game on the docket down at Selhurst Park. The Wolverhampton Wolves wandering their way to London. Another one that's I don't know if it's going to be eye-catching, but I think it's going to be a nice tactical battle, and I think it's going to be an open game. But I also think there won't be many goals. I've gone for a 1-1. I'm backing Wolves to get the point away from home. It'll be a good point for him, and I think this is an important game. Almost a 6-pointer. I think these two teams are going to finish near each other, and maybe at home Palace will edge it. I think Eze will be boosted by the England call up.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I've gone 1-1. I think these two teams are pretty even. I think Gary O'Neill has Wolves playing some good ball. If Nunez gets over the line, that's going to be a blow. But and I think it is already, right, Lewis?
Yeah, it's already over the line.
So that's a blow. But I think they'll have enough. I'm still backing Cunha up top to start bagging goals. I think and Wolves won they smashed Blackpool. They won the League Cup as well. Palace also won in the League Cup, but the first goal in this game with Plymouth Argyle was scored by Plymouth, and it was nasty.
Really?
Some absolute no name hits a curler from the right hand side. It was glorious. Palace were down 2-0 in that game to Plymouth. Ended up winning 4-2. A Mateta hat trick. But yeah, as far as Premier League, I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Wolves are going to give them a tough game.
Yep.
What you saying?
I'm actually going to go with 1-1 as well. Not to copy you by any means, but I don't know. Palace. I mean, they played well against y'all at home. They'll of course play a little bit more open against Wolves. Cunha, he's going to give them some problems. But I think that Eze, like you said, going to be kind of boosted. And honestly, somebody's got to step up for Palace at this point. Elise, he's still out. I don't know how much longer he's going to be out. So somebody's got to kind of step up and say, all right, because it used to be that you wouldn't expect him to. He kind of would be the voice, though, in Zaha. They really are kind of lacking that right now. So, I mean, this is, like you said, it's a big one. So I'm going to go 1-1. I think that everybody will be actually happy with a point in this one, but it will also show some forward momentum going into the international break.
I'm gonna use the point Patrick just used going into the international break, and Eze, and you said Eze, and I think Eze has a brace, and they win 2-1. And the reason I say that is because if you look at his week, Eze has been linked to Man City to fill in for Kevin De Bruyne. There's no way that doesn't get to your head of like, wait a minute. So the league champions that are going for the fourth and looks like they're going to win the fourth want me to come in to fill in while Kevin De Bruyne is gone, to be creative and create goals and score goals. And then he gets an England call up. The dude is on cloud 12 because I don't know what's past 9, but it's for sure it's past
wherever
9.
he is. It's wherever he is right now.
Yeah.
There's no way that you get a home game again. And I'm not saying Wolves is bad, but against a team that's probably either like at the level or a little bit less than them, and they've played decently this year, and he's played well for sure. So I just think it gives him the opportunity to raise his level, because if he's not getting bought in this window, he's raising his stock so he can be purchased. Because I mean, Crystal Palace is Crystal Palace, I mean, they're a mid-table team. They're not near relegation or anything like that.
They almost signed Eden Hazard, though. I mean, that's big time.
Who chose to retire altogether instead of going anywhere.
He's like,
nah,
right? I'm good, y'all. I'm good.
And so I look at that, and I think Eze has a brace. I think he's feeling good. He's just gonna play that way, and I think he'll show why a team from the Big Six is interested in him. And so then in his mind, he's like, let me increase my stock, because if we're doing the math of how seasons work and for personal accolades, specifically money, right? If I get noticed by a Big Six team and then I get called up by England, that means they're really watching me. And what's next year? The Euros. So I want to be on that England Euro team, period. That's where I want to be. And how can I get there? By dragging Crystal Palace wherever they need to be and being a hero. So I expect a great showing from him. I say brace, but if not a brace, I got a goal and an assist. But I think Eze is the reason for both of the goals. 2-1. And I'm not saying Wolves are bad. I don't think they're a bad team at all. I do like the direction. I don't think I ever had them in the relegation zone. I know people were worried. I think I was the only one who didn't have them down there. And so I think they'll be fine, even with knowing Nunez is going, because I think a lot of the guys will get a chance to step up. I think a lot of these mid-table teams get that opportunity when their players get called up to other teams. They're like, well, if he's gone, that gives a chance for me to show in another big team. I mean, they look at being in mid-table as an audition to go to London, a big London club, or to a big, Northern England club. And I think that's the opportunity. But 2-1, Palace.
There you go. Old Roy has the Eagles flying high, looking Lewis backing him for a 2-1 victory down in London. All right. Well, we have that's all the predictions in for the week 4 in Premier League. But we have decided to allow 5 substitutions to our season-long predictions. And I want to go ahead and throw it out there that I think it's a good idea that for each of the top 8 spots you've gotten correct, it's an extra 3 points. And then if you get Golden Boot, if you get one of the other props, I think it should be like a 5-pointer.
Okay.
And then the relegation is also a 3-pointer.
Okay.
Yeah, agreed? Sure.
I'm cool with that.
Perfect. I'll start if you want. I think I'm gonna. I want it. It hurt my heart too much. I couldn't switch my boys off the top, so I'm gonna have to back them. I'm gonna have to back them. But I did. My first change was United got pushed down the table by 2 spots, and so I've moved Newcastle up to 4th. I've got Villa in 5th, United in 6th, and I did switch Brighton and Chelsea just because that Ansu Fati is going to give Brighton a boost. So yeah, I have Arsenal 1st, City 2nd, Pool 3rd, Newcastle in 4th, Villa in 5th, Man United 6th, Brighton 7, Chelsea 8. Another one of my changes was I took Wolves out of relegation. And I think it's that time. Goose eggs right now in the table. I have not seen anything at all impressive, even the win over Doncaster. Everton. They're going down, man.
Oh, yeah.
They're going down. And I kept Luton and Sheffield in there. So I guess it doesn't matter what position we have them in, but for what it's worth, I have 17 for Everton, 18 for Everton, 19 for Luton, 20 for Sheffield. My golden boot stays the same. I'm still going with Saka. He's on 3 goals in 3 games, so you like to see that. Most assists, I've changed to Mr. Mo Salah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I've switched it. And I've also changed my golden glove from Nick Pope. I'm not liking what I'm seeing so far. And I think, unfortunately, once again, it hurts my heart to say, but the man between the sticks in Manchester. I got Ederson for my golden glove. So my changes were the Newcastle and Villa hopped up, Everton in the relegation, Mo Salah on assists, and Ederson for golden glove. Who wants to go?
I don't think I
remember
changed.
my predictions, so you're gonna have to.
I can read them out for you.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go. Well, because I don't think I changed my bottom 3. I think my bottom 3.
You have Sheffield, Forest, and Luton in your bottom 3.
You said Sheffield, Forest, and Luton. Okay, well I put Everton in there, so I did make that one change because I have Sheffield, Luton, and Everton.
Okay.
So that's 1.
Yep.
And then for now this is where I actually made changes, which I still have City 1st. I still have Newcastle 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
But and I think I had Arsenal 3rd. Did I not? Or was 3rd or 4th?
You have Arsenal 3rd as of right now.
So I didn't change that either. But did I have Brighton as 4th?
You had Villa as 4th.
That's my first change. I have Brighton as 4th. I like them. I like
Brighton up to 4th place.
I do. I like them. And who did I have 5th?
You had United in 5th.
Yeah, I changed that too. I have Liverpool in 5th. Liverpool is better than them.
Liverpool in 5th.
And then I have United in 6th because I just think there will be enough. They have enough games at home to have them in the top 6. I'm just you can call it whatever I'm calling it. I'm just saying they have enough games at home to keep.
We'll call it the Old Trafford effect. Then you had Chelsea, and then you had Burnley.
And I had Chelsea. I kept Chelsea at 7th. That was at 7, right? I had them at 7.
You had them at 7.
And I have Spurs at 8.
Spurs displacing the Clarets.
I moved Burnley only because I think they're still good, but I think there's still a learning curve. I think they'll be better next year. I think they'll still be mid-table, but I think Chelsea is going to catch their stride. Something about Villa is not. I think that it's going to be really tight around 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think it's really going to be tight there. And so I think Chelsea has enough to get him over the line because they're starting to have guys playing. And Sterling is actually coming back, and they brought in enough guys to just kind of stay where they are. United had to go down. I don't rate them, man. I I mean, it's not even a history thing. It's just they don't look good, man. For example, I think I probably would have picked United to beat Chelsea for sure at home and away. But Chelsea look better than them now. I think the only reason they'll get finish above Chelsea is because of playing at home. I think
Yeah.
United playing at home is tough. If Chelsea had the same United treatment at home, I would put Chelsea over them easily.
Yeah. Fair
So I
enough.
think I only made what
No, we
3
we
changes.
just get the sorries and interviews where it's like, oh, I'm not gonna show up my buddy. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna show up my
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah, man, it's garbage, man. But I
Right.
think I think Chelsea is. I don't even though I didn't move them. I think they are definitely improved, which means I already
Yeah.
kind of forecasted them to be better. But
More
I do,
confident in what you said. Yeah.
yeah, I just really think Brighton is good this year, and I think Liverpool is better than United.
So that counts as 3 changes. Your Brighton, Liverpool, United switch up is just 1. You changed Spurs and you changed Everton. So
Right.
you've said Salah for Golden Boot.
Yeah,
Bru-
I like
okay.
that.
You got Bruno Fernandes for assists.
I still like that too.
You have Nick Pope as Golden Glove.
Yeah, I'll leave that.
And you have Pochettino as most manager ejections.
I still see that too.
I stuck with Klopp. On that one as well.
With Klopp on that one.
So yeah. So there you go, Lewis. Your predictions are in. What are you saying, Patrick?
All right,
Do you want me to read yours
I
out?
don't remember what I had. I know I had City first. I think Arsenal second.
Yep. Then you have Poole.
Okay.
Then you have Villa in 4th.
Okay. And
Chelsea is 5th. United 6th. Newcastle 7. Brighton 8.
Okay.
I know what one of your changes is going to be, definitely, because of who's in your relegation picks.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Do you want to do the top 8 first?
Yeah, I'll do the top 8 first. I think I'm gonna flip Newcastle and Villa. So put Newcastle 4th, Villa 7th.
That's kind of a wild flip.
I mean, still Newcastle. If they fall out like Lewis said, which I mean they're in the group of death, so they probably will. With them focusing on the league, I think that they'll get enough at home. They'll be tough on the road. Villa, they're going to be focused in Europe. What are they in Conference League? They're in Conference League, right?
Yeah, they had to play in, but they won the 2-legged tie 8-0. So
yeah. So I mean, they're gonna have some fixture congestion that I don't know. I mean, I love Diaby. I remember pointing him out just after his first game for Villa in Orlando, and the dude just put on a show in like 30 minutes time. So I'm like, yeah, he's gonna be a problem. I was tempted to flip Liverpool and Arsenal. I still think Arsenal is just too strong. I think City is too strong for everybody. I stuck with Chelsea at 5 because we're going to eventually get healthy. And when that happens, with us only playing 1 match a week, maybe 2, with cups and whatnot, I think that they will come pretty good. I don't think we're good enough to be in that top 4 yet, but I do think that we could finish in that 5-6 range. So I'm going to stick with Chelsea at 5. I don't believe in United. I don't know what it is. They've already ruined my man Onana. I don't know how they did that. They did it in like 30 minutes time.
2.5 games.
Dude got chipped from midfield. I mean, that's all you got to know. Brighton. They're gonna be hell on wheels, but I do worry about their midfield really as they start playing the more stronger teams. Last weekend was really, really concerning if you're a Brighton fan, and it's not because of the result. it's because you couldn't break down a low block.
Yeah.
And teams
You're
are
gonna
going to
see that in
low
Europa
blocks
League
against you a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And so that concerns me. So that would be my top 8. I know that my bottom was
you have Wolves, West
Wolves.
Ham, and Luton.
Oh yeah. Oh God, I'm gonna have to do a lot of changes. All right.
I know you're taking West Ham out. We'll start there.
I'm taking West Ham out for sure.
Yeah.
And we're gonna put in Sheffield United.
Makes sense.
We get 3 changes, right?
You can still. You've only made 1 change, so that's only 2 changes. You still have 3 more changes.
Oh, I have 3 more changes left. Okay, so we're gonna take out Wolves as well. Everton's going down.
Everton.
That is just pure chaos up there at Goodison.
Goodison's not good stuff.
And then what did you have me for?
So Golden Boot, you have Nunez.
Okay.
Assist, you have Trossard.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to change that one. Yeah. I still feel pretty confident about Nunez. There's something about him. I don't know what it is. I think he's going to earn more playing time.
He's going to have a good season.
So I'm going to stick with Nunez. Of course, this was the idea that everybody picked Haaland. So, truthfully, it's Haaland.
Yeah, it's other than it's the boot other than Haaland. Yeah, I actually typed that out into the column.
the boot other than Haaland.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go, and it may sound like a homer, but I'm actually gonna go with Sterling on assists.
Okay.
I think
bold choice.
I think he's gonna really start feeding some goals, or feeding some balls in. He's bringing on defenders so that Jackson has space, and I think that he's going to continue to do that because the man's on a mission. He has been very open about how he does not like that he was not picked for the England national team, and he was not picked again. So everybody watch out, relatively, because he's going to continue to push forward on that. So my changes were.
So you got Newcastle up to 4th, Villa down to 7th. Everton has replaced Wolves. Sheffield has replaced West Ham in the relegation zone. And Raheem Sterling comes in for most assists.
Works for me.
You have Ederson at Golden Glove and Klopp for ejections.
Yep, staying with that.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, there you go. Predictions are in both for week 4 and the season-long predictions. We've certainly had a good time. Looking forward to the weekend in the Premier League. If you're as excited about it as we are, go ahead and get the likes out, people. Go and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. We're on our way to 100 subscribers, so go ahead and hit that button. Get the notification bell on so you know when all of the videos come out. Like we say, once again, thanks for being here, and hope you have a great night.
That's loud as hell.